Miss Elizabeth. Today's story can be found in the New Testament in Luke chapter 19. This is a story that actually happened to Jesus, and it shows us that because Jesus loves us, he can cause our souls to shift in our thinking from slave to God's child. There once was a man named Zacchaeus.
Hello there.
Now, Zacchaeus was well, he was a little small,
Hey,
and he was a tax collector.
actually, I am the chief tax collector.
Right. You see, back then, tax collectors were not very popular.
What?
Actually, back then, tax collectors used to take more money than they were supposed to and kept a lot of it for themselves. That's stealing.
Well, maybe. It's possible that
He also was kind of a bully. He would have soldiers with him who would threaten the people if they didn't pay enough. It's kind of like a mean kid who takes other kids' milk money at school just so he can buy whatever he or she wants. Right. Let's move on.
Good plan.
So, Zacchaeus was a small man who was not very popular because when he collected taxes, he also was a thief and a bully who took people's money.
All right. I think we get the picture. Can we move on with the story now?
So, one day, Jesus was visiting the town where Zacchaeus lived and worked, Jericho. Remember those spies who met Rahab? Well, this was hundreds of years later when Zacchaeus and Jesus lived. And now Jesus was preaching and telling stories in that same city. Lots of people were following him around, wanting to hear his teaching. And Zacchaeus was there in the crowd too. But the problem was, he was too short to see above the crowd. Do you ever have that happen to you at a parade, or maybe even in church, when people are standing up and you can't see anybody in front of them?
Yeah, that's the way it was for me. Couldn't see a thing.
So you know what he did? He ran way ahead of Jesus and the crowd, and he found a sycamore fig tree along the way that Jesus would be passing. Sycamore trees are tall and strong, but they have branches close to the ground that spread way out, so they really are easy to climb. Zacchaeus climbed that tree beside the road to get a better view of Jesus. He was hoping that Jesus would come that way, right by the tree. And sure enough, when Jesus passed that way, Zacchaeus could see him perfectly well. But what he saw startled him, because Jesus stopped. He looked up into Zacchaeus' tree, and when he saw him, he smiled and said, "Zacchaeus, you come down right now, because I'm going to be a guest in your house today." So Zacchaeus got down from the tree as fast as he could.
I almost fell. I was going so fast. I was so excited and I was happy that Jesus would actually want to come to my house. I told him, "Welcome. Yes, you are sure welcome in my home."
Right. And immediately they began walking together to Zacchaeus' house, with the crowd following close behind. But this made some people in the crowd very upset because they did not like Zacchaeus.
Yeah, I know. Because of my thieving. I was a bully.
Right. Some of them were grumbling, saying, "How could Jesus go to be a guest of such a sinner?" But after Zacchaeus spent time with Jesus, he knew he needed to change. That's because he was really listening to Jesus and believing what he said. So finally, Zacchaeus stood up in front of Jesus and everyone else there and said,
"Look, Lord, I'm giving half of all of my wealth to the poor right now. And if I have cheated people and stolen their taxes, I will give them back 4 times as much."
This made Jesus very happy because Zacchaeus was free from doing such bad things. He said, "Salvation has come to this home today, For this man has shown himself to be a true believer. This is why I have come, to seek and save those who are lost. Think about it. Just because Jesus loved Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus changed. He was no longer a thief. He wasn't stuck like a slave to sin. He was free. He accepted Jesus' forgiveness and immediately started thinking about loving others. He wanted to make right what he had done wrong. Slaves do what their master wants because they have to. But a son or daughter does what his or her parents want out of love. Zacchaeus was no longer a slave doing things that bullies and thieves have to do. He became a child of God. It's amazing. God can shift your soul from thinking of yourself as a slave to thinking of yourself as his child. You can actually be given the name Child of God.